wouldn't have the experience, and I wouldn't be where I'm at without their tools that they have available.
Well, you've created a business with it.
I literally created a business with it.
Yeah, that's
with zero experience. Hello, everyone. Welcome to AndyBirdbuilds. I'm at their place today.
731 Woodworks.
This is Matt from 731 Woodworks, and today I traveled all the way to Arkansas to talk about CNCs. So we're in his shop. Matt, what CNC do you own?
I got the Shapeoko 4 XXL. That's the one.
Sweet. So we're both Shapeoko owners, and we're going to talk a little bit about our experience with adding a CNC to our shop. And this is just kind of a way to iron sharpens iron,
right.
Learn from each other. So I've been a Shapeoko owner now for about 3.5 years. And you've had years in the shop for?
A little over a year.
Tell me a little bit about what led you to adding a CNC to the shop.
So customization is the main thing. I saw that just the customization and repeatability, and I knew that it made good business sense.
What have you found? So you sell the things that you make, some of the things you make, right? What have you found? What type of things sell?
So the projects that I found that sell are we sell mallet templates, but we also sell things like like everyday carry trays, like your catch-all trays that our company is Christian based, so we do Christian scriptures in there, and those do really well for us. And so we can basically put, one of the best ones, our sellers is I Never Walk Alone, and then it has Joshua scripture in there. So it's just a small tray, and they're easy to make, and it doesn't take long to make. Or a guitar tray that has the same logo, and it's basically a Fender Stratocaster shape, and then it has that same slogan in there. It's just kind of a way for when people take the change out of the end of their pocket. You've had a long day, and things didn't go well. You can look at that and know that you never walk alone, kind of thing.
That's really good. I talk a lot about in my channel about making products, right, with your CNC, and I'm so passionate about like creating things for a purpose. And I think you just hit the nail on the head with the like when you're creating a product, is thinking about the person, right? Like, it's just a catch-all tray. It's just a piece of wood that's carved out, right? But putting scripture on it or putting something on it.
Favorite baseball team or whatever.
Yeah, and when something that you're going to see every day, and that encourages them. And so one thing that I found that creating products is all about creating them with a purpose in mind. And those are the most successful products I've found.
Yep.
Now they have the training. When I got mine, they didn't either. And I didn't have any background. I think like you. Like we were brand new to CNC.
Yeah.
Like what, first of all, and I think I've heard you say this on your channel, like it's not as easy as putting a piece of wood on it and just hit and go.
So that's what I was thinking. I don't know why. I didn't do a whole lot of research into. I just knew I wanted the CNC because it could cut out custom projects, and I was just assuming lay the wood on there and push the start button and it would do it. But the truth is, you have to tell it what to do, and it's only going to do what you tell it to do. And if you tell it to drill too deep, even though you didn't realize you told it to do that, it's going to go to the floor and then start going, to the table floor and start moving and trying to cut across a big piece of wood. And that's one of the struggles I had early on, that I didn't realize that that you had to set the correct depth, that you had to make sure that it retracted high enough before it moved, or it would cut your wood all the way across. Yeah. I mean, that's one of those things that you just learn as you go, type thing. And I don't know, now they have the training that helps you set that stuff, but then that's I did a video on the dark side of CNC, and that's one of the dark sides was the learning curve that I wasn't expecting. I set myself up for failure in that way.
Yeah, and I think unless you have a background in CNC, I think that's probably everybody's the course that they end up taking. It's a trial by fire type of thing, and being, let's just say 4 years, 3.5, 4 years into CNC, I've learned a lot, but the way I learned it was by breaking things and by messing things up. But it's well worth it. I think that journey, that learning curve, is well worth it. The payoff, and there's still mistakes. There's still things break loose, or you break a bit, or you forget a setting. It's well worth it.
Or you don't clamp something down good enough, and it goes to moving.
Yep.
That's a couple of, I mean, it's just learning stuff. Even I still do that. I had something the other day I was cutting out, and it was a guitar tray. And I usually just put double stick tape on the bottom and then use the clamps on the corners, but I forgot the double stick tape. So when it cut the part out, it had cut through, I had swapped pieces of wood. It was a little less thick than the previous one, so it went all the way through it and through the tabs that was supposed to be there. And when it went down, it just started, it's just, I heard it and I was like, oh no, it's just learning.
Yeah. Carbide as a company realizes there's a steep learning curve. And the good thing is they dedicate a lot of time and resources into helping people feel that success. mycarbide.com or mycarbide3d.com, and then have you ever been to the forum?
Yeah,
the forum is a great
the
resource.
Community forums, they are, and they're customer service. So I had an issue where the Z motor, in other words, the up and down motor, wasn't doing. Or I thought it was messing up. So I contacted just regular customer service and said, "This is what's happening." They got on a video call with me and walked me through step by step to check all the wires and everything, and it wound up being a Z motor wire that was shorting at just an inopportune time. So it was just one of those things that it happens over time, and just one wire in there. We were playing with all the wires, and we finally found it, and so they just overnighted me a new wire. And then also I had one of the spindles, the brushes burnt up. I put new brushes in it, and then it didn't work again. I contacted them, and the next day I had a new spindle on my doorstep. So their customer service is phenomenal.
Yeah, and it's really neat. CNC as a whole, I mean, 10 years ago, this wasn't possible in your garage.
No, it wasn't affordable.
It wasn't affordable. And so the power to have something like that in your garage to create things.
Basically, if you can think of it, you can. I mean, if you can think of it and program it, then it'll make it.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that you have to figure out when you are getting into CNC is work holding. I think how to hold a piece of wood to the bed. There's a couple different ways to do that. Painter's tape with CA glue, double-sided tape, clamps. When I first got started, I was like, oh, I'm going to use these clamps. I didn't use the clamps they send. I don't know why. But I used some of these clamps that stuck way too high up. And I broke like 3 bits.
Oh, wow.
Because my retract height was higher than my workpiece, but it wasn't higher than the clamps.
Get that clamp or get that bit every time.
And so just snapped it right off. So I got rid of those clamps after, I don't know, $60 in mistakes, $90 in mistakes. You'd think I would have learned the first time. But so what do you use for work holding?
I use the clamps that come with the machine. I don't know what you call them. They're little tab clamps. Those work really well because they're low profile and they'll hold the work down up to probably, 1.5 inches or maybe even a 2-inch workpiece.
Yeah.
Which I'm usually only using 1 or usually 3/4 inch stock. But I use double stick tape and then those type clamps. And then every now and then, if the piece is big enough, because of the versatility of the bed on the Shapeoko 4 has those T-tracks in there, and common T-track clamps will work. So sometimes I'll use those because they're a little more robust. You can get a little more clamp. You can hold them down a little more secure. And if it's going to be out of the way, then but it's rare. But I do like having that option.
Yeah, I really like the hybrid bed that it gives you a bunch of different options.
And they also have some push clamps. It's more of
the ones that push in.
They'll push in, and those work well too.
Yeah, a lot of endless really possibilities for clamping. So a common pain point when both of us were getting started with CNC is software. Now, Carbide 3D as a company has Carbide Create is the CAM software, and it's actually really easy to use compared to what it could be. I've used Fusion 360 and stuff like that, and those things get really, really in depth. So Carbide Create I recommend it to anybody. It doesn't matter.
Still using,
It doesn't matter what CNC you're using. If you're using a Shapeoko or you're using a different brand, you can actually use Carbide Create, which is really cool. It's free for anybody to use. And they've done a great job of, it is stripped down. You do lose some capability, but it's constantly being added to and upgraded. What's your experience with it?
Well, I think if it's stripped down, I don't know what's stripped out of it because I haven't run into a limitation, but I'm not doing super advanced stuff. I'm doing basically 2-dimensional stuff. I'm not doing any hills and valleys and stuff like that. So I've seen you've got some mountain type things.
Yeah,
And
so
I don't know if like I don't even know if I'm assuming Carbide could do that in maybe the Pro model or maybe just do the 2D thing.
yeah, so that's where kind of the limitation starts coming in. Is anytime you're doing 3D relief carve stuff. I believe the Pro version of Carbide, which is the paid version, can do
It's
that.
only like $100 a year or something.
It's pretty cheap. But compared to what else is on the market, honestly, Carbide Create is the place to start.
Like any type of trays and writing, like fonts and things on boards, flags, like all that stuff is very easily done in Carbide. I've been happy with it. And I haven't people have told me, well, you could try this; it may be better or different. And I've tried a couple of those, and I'm like, whoa, I'm gonna go back to the other one because it just takes a lot of time. You have to invest the time to learn the software. So so far I've been happy with the Carbide Create.
Yeah, it's a great place to start. I recommend it to everybody.
And there's so many resources, not just at my.carbide3d.com, but also at YouTube. You just go to YouTube and create how to use Carbide Create, and I think you've got some videos on there. Several other people have very detailed videos on how to do certain things. Like I had a question on how to create a curve in Carbide Create. Well, no, how to create. Basically, I had a piece that it was a router stand where it had a slot cut out of a piece. You know, so there was open on one end, and it goes up and curves. That I was like, how do I take that piece out? And so I just searched it on YouTube, and it was that fast. Like it told me how to eliminate that one spot so that the bit would go up and around instead of all the way across.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was easy.
Yeah, I love that they, just like everything else that I've experienced with Carbide, is they're continually investing in it. They just released a new update.
Yep,
of
it was
Carbide
a good one
Create. They have the trim
Especially
tool.
motion was good. I like the motion update.
Yeah.
You see when you change the speed, then it also shows you the new time. You know, that wasn't there before. How much time's left cutting. That was a good update.
That's good. On the CAD side of Carbide Create, they have the trim tool now, which enables you to trim vectors. It's one of the greatest updates that they've done. So they're continually to invest in it, and that's, I think, my CNC experience has been very enjoyable and obtainable.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. This isn't me just plugging Carbide by no means or anything. Like I wouldn't have the experience, and I wouldn't be where I'm at without their tools that they have available.
Well, you created a business with it.
I literally created a business with it.
Yeah, that's
with zero experience.
That's what's amazing to me about the CNC itself. I mean, you're looking at as far as businesses go, especially garage woodworkers or makers, not just woodworkers, but you take a 5 foot by 5 foot section of your garage, your basement, your storage shed, wherever you can put one, and have a little power there, you plug it in, and you can make, whatever you want. And especially when you find a product that sells, that's when that thing will pay for itself in just a matter of weeks. Or even, if you're going slow, a couple of months, you'll reap that investment back, and then you've got nothing but profit other than your materials from there on out. I mean, it's just like and what other place in time are you able to do? Take less than $3,000. Or if you get a smaller version, less than that, and start making things and work your way up.
The barrier of entry has never been lower to CNC as a whole, and that the capability, the upside, is a no-brainer. Like if your plan was just hey, I want a CNC to have fun with it, like you could invest $3,000. Just I'm saying that generally, it could be less. Buy a smaller machine,
bits and all. Everything you need to get started. Like Carbide actually gives you most everything. Like all your bits, your work holding, your dust collection, attachments. Like everything comes with the machine, so you don't have to go looking for, I don't know what bits I need to get started with. It's already there. So, that makes it easy too.
Yeah.
It's like a one-stop shop.
Say your plan was, I want to buy a CNC, and now you're trying to convince your significant other to spend $2,500, $3,000, whatever.
Yeah.
You could easily make that money back let's just say it took you 6 months, and then never make anything to sell ever again, and just have it for fun.
Making gifts, family projects, stuff for the kids, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, it's so versatile. Adding that to our business, my idea was that I would add that to the business so that I could offer stuff for sale on our website, and we do that. And just batching out, not just making custom products. One of the main things I think of CNC, and I think you've proven this, is batching out things the same. So you do it with wholesale, you do it with other things where you can make those cheese trays. Is that what they are? The cheese trays that looks like a paddle. Those that's like genius, because you can get so many products out of minimum waste out of your stock. And then same thing with our mallet templates we make, that you can just lay a sheet of MDF up there and it's going to cut so many out of that one sheet all in one pass. Like, how long would that take you with a jigsaw or however else, or a router template, bandsaw?
Yeah.
Like, it takes you. I've said before in a lot of my videos, that is a second employee I've added to the shop.
Yes.
I put that over there. Once the file is right, it's repeatable over and over and over and over.
Yep. Repeatability and customization are these two superpowers of CNCs. And to have that in a woodworking shop like this is a game changer. It really is.
And it has minimal space again. I'm in a 2-car garage, so space is a premium here. And I was thinking before I got that, we was talking earlier, that I needed a big CNC. I was like, man, a little, 30 by 30 cutting capacity. I mean, that's just that's so small. Like, I have yet to find a project that I needed more than that.
Yeah.
I just don't make anything that's that big. If it's going to be that big, I'm going to make it with traditional woodworking, not traditional, but power tools. Yeah. The table saw and all that stuff. So for small trays and mallets and all kinds of stuff. It's like Mooseworks. I don't know, this is coming to my mind. Mooseworks on YouTube, they have a video, they use a CNC to make mallets. And I've bought their files and put it on mine and cut out mallets, and made several to sell.
Yeah.
I mean, I took their file, which I've done a lot. If you're talking business, I go to Etsy, look for a product file. I bought a baseball file on there that had the American flag embedded in it. And I just told it the thickness and started making them. It's that easy. You don't have to program. You can always get files from other places, like you sell files.
Yeah, that's a great point. There are files readily available where you can completely skip that whole CAD side that we were talking about and get right to creating.
That's how I got started. I would buy files from places, Etsy, Mooseworks, and just find them online. Yep. And just look for Carbide, I'm just looking for C2D files, .C2D. And that means most of them already have the speeds and the feeds like you talk about already programmed. All you have to do is set the depth of cut. So you don't want to keep their depth, because they may have been using a 1-inch stock and you've got 3/4. But if you keep the depth, or if you set the depth, and then you just go. And then, so that's how I started. And then I started learning the software slowly. And I've still not deep dove into the software. I can get by, but I'm not an expert like yourself.
Nah, I don't know about that. But all right, so you made a video about the dark side of CNC. Where did that come from? What were your thoughts on sharing that, and what came about it?
So I actually made a video. The idea was to make a video called "The Light Side and Dark Side of CNC," and I was going to kind of show kind of the pros and cons of getting a CNC as a new owner, and what pain points and things I went through learning to operate the thing. I had previously worked with Carbide on one video on when I first got it, and since then I hadn't really talked to them. And then I reached out to the same contact person I had and said, hey, I'm making these videos, just a heads up, they're coming out. This one's coming out in a few days, and I gave him the link so he could preview it. I didn't hear anything back. And then a couple of weeks go by, the light side comes out. I think I've done them a week apart, week and a half, something like that. So I let the dark side come out first, because bad news first, good news last. And so I put the light side out. I didn't hear anything. I also gave him heads up on that. Later, a few months later, or a few weeks later, I don't remember exactly. It was probably about a month and a half, 2 months later. I heard from one of the Carbide reps messaged me about something totally different. And I mentioned to him about these videos, and I had given him a heads up on them. And he's like, we never got those. The other guy that I've been talking to left the company, moved on. I was like, oh, that makes sense. And so they was like, but actually that dark side video helped us a lot. And so that, from my understanding, helped generate my.carbide3d.com, where almost every one of my hang-ups that I had early on they addressed with the training they're offering, getting started, the first 5 projects you can make, like all of that stuff. They took the video without, I mean, not they didn't take it, but they watched my video and listened to the concerns without any direct communication with me, because we had lost contact with each other because of the contact person moving on. And that just shows to me that I was like, oh wow, they're taking what their customers are saying and implementing changes so that it's easier for the customer. I mean, that speaks volumes to me.
Yeah, it's all about that ease of getting into CNC, because I mean that is a steep learning curve, but it is possible.
It's less steep now, though, I think, with their training. Like if you're using their equipment, using their software with the training they're offering now, like it. If I was getting started again, it would be a lot easier, because they're going to show you how to operate the software, you know, how to set your feeds and speeds, which is mostly questions you'll get. What feeds and speeds? How do you know what to set? You know, and all that stuff is preset in Carbide, but just knowing, you know, kind of about where you need to be is really key too. So
we've talked about a lot of stuff today, which has been fantastic. So to the person that is ready to hit buy, I'm all in on this CNC thing, what would you tell them?
It's gonna be fun. It's a lot of fun. I've messed up some stuff and I've gotten frustrated. I mean, nobody's gonna say you a pocket full of rainbows, but it just sometimes stuff happens, you know. But you'll get frustrated from time to time. But 90% of the time, I'm pleased with the product and I have a lot of fun, especially when you create something new for the first time. It's that excitement. I don't know, it's just a different level. I'm a woodworker. I build other things, but having an automated thing in here that helps me, for one, it adds to my business, but for two, it's just fun making new stuff. Like you come up with an idea, like you and I are fixing to work on, and we're going to kind of create something custom for somebody. Man, that's just super cool. Like,
you said it earlier, literally your mind is the limitation to projects. So I think it's really cool. So if you want to learn more about Carbide 3D, makers of the Shapeoko, links will be down in the description below. If you want to learn more about Matt and his CNC journey and the things that he's learned and stumbled upon, his information will be in the links in the description as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
So yeah.